Alright guys, good deal, but not so much good deal, okay? I got this. If you followed my commands exactly to the T, I'm sorry I just screwed you up. Alright, you're okay, but instead of saying make and make modules install, that's not correct. Make is proper, okay, so that's good. But as you can see here, modules install is not a command, okay, so I screwed up there. I was supposed to say make and make modules install, but instead I didn't. So we can still get that by, because the make modules install failed, so we can say make modules underscore install, okay, and we're good to go. No biggie, modules done. This is how you should get. Alright, so you should have nothing at the very tail end here, okay. Alright, 3 modules, kernel test, CSI, scan await, net filter. Those are the 3 modules. Alright, that's over. Like I said, sorry about that, but it's not really a screw up. It didn't recognize the command, so it's not going to do it. Okay, so it would have been the same as saying make, okay, and then running that make command, and then we could say make modules install. Okay, essentially that's how we did it. Okay, the right way. So that's that. Now we have to copy for both our architecture. We have to copy our BZMGL. So if you're running x86, or if you configure this for x86 and did not use any of the x64 stuff I was telling you about, then you need to follow the x86 path. I'm going to use the x86 underscore 64 path because I did this for a 64-bit computer. If you did it for a 64-bit computer, run x86 underscore 64. Right? Okay. We want to copy BZ image to, let's say, boot. Now we can name the kernel anything we want to, but I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to name it VM Linux dash 2.6.37. That's our kernel version. LFS dash 6.8. Okay, that's what I'm going to name the kernel, just as it says in the book. Okay. Now we have to copy over our verbose system.map. Now don't let this screw you up. I just say system.map there because I can get a tab out of it. Okay, and I go back over here and I throw in boot system.map and add on to it. So 2.6.37. Okay, and we need to copy over our config. So we need to copy .config. It's hidden. Okay, and we'll say .config again. I only do that so I can get tab completion. Throw /boot in front of it, okay, and let's append to the end 2.6.37. Okay, so our kernel's copied over, our config and our system.map's copied over. We're going to also copy over our documentation all, copy that to user share doc Linux. We have to name this all the way out. Linux dash 2.6.37. Okay. Skip a line. Go back up and we'll say install. First we have to make a directory first. Install directory. Let's do a verbose, why not? Share doc install Linux dash 2.6.37. Okay, now we can create to that directory, or copy that. Copy documentation all over the user share doc Linux dash 2.6.37. Done. Could have said V, didn't. Alright, the kernel is done. Now, configuring Linux module load order. The etc mod probe USB needs to be configured so that if USB drivers, okay, have been built as modules, they have been loaded correct order. Okay. Okay. So let's do that anyway for a default measure. It doesn't seem like we have to do that, you know, for the install to work. This is all dealing with USB, but I do it anyway. And let's say let's say etc mod probe etcmodprobe.d. etcmodprobe.d. Good. Good. Okay. And let's say first I'm going to only echo begin. I'm doing this so I don't have to add so many tags when I type this out. Actually, you know what I'm saying. Mod probe dot d USB dot config. etcmodprobe.d USB config. Good. Mod prob is not what I want to do. Mod probe.d. I want to echo that into etcmodprobe.d USB.config. Okay. That just sets me up with a tag there. Okay. So I can then go in and I can copy stuff out. Or not copy stuff to anywhere, but what I'm saying is I don't have to type this in without tab completion. Alright? Okay. So let's say I want to delete that, and now let me paste let's say, let's scoot this down a little bit. I'm going to take out this little bit here. Let's type in end, just to make it look nice and squared up. We want to be able to read these later on in life, and in order for you to be able to, you know, do stuff kind of nice, it's kind of nice to have your scripts all set up. Okay, so let's say install ohci underscore hcd, okay, /sbin/mod probe dot d /usb no, I'm wrong. Mod probe sbin mod probe dot d. That's wrong too. ohci underscore hcd sbin mod probe. Done. ehci underscore hcd colon. I'm going to type in sbin /mod probe dash I. Type in ohci underscore hcd. True. Check it. Install ohci hcd sbin mod probe ehci hcd. Okay. sbin mod probe dash I ohci hcd. Okay. True. Alright, so now I'm going to hit visual mode, or the other mode. I don't even know if it's visual mode. I'm going to say DD to copy that out. Paste. Okay. And just go in here and change some stuff around. So we'll say I for edit. Let's say, instead of, we'll change that to a U. Back all the way over here. This should be a U2, I think. Okay. And everything else can stay the same. Right? Yes. Alright, let's get rid of these trailing spaces here, just to make it look a little bit more organized. And let's right click. Done. Contents of Linux. You guys can read all about that. Now grub. I'm not going to install grub all the way. I'll tell you why, because I'm going to be dual booting this LFS, okay? I have grub 2 already on my Mint machine, okay? Which already boots my Slackware, so the only thing I have to do is go over there and set up update grub. Okay, so I'm not going to run grub all the way, but it's not that hard. You guys can get it, okay? This is here, following procedures to write special grub files, specific locations on the hard drive. We highly recommend creating a grub boot diskette. This is a boot floppy. I don't know why you would have a... I don't know why this is here. But it's here. I don't know. nobody's gonna have a nobody's gonna have a blank floppy. Not in today's time. I think that's just for backwards compatibility stuff. You know what I mean? So you can determine what Grub thinks of your disk devices by running that. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Um, Setting up the configuration using above information to determine the appropriate designator for the root partition or boot partition. Okay. Install grub files into boot grub. We need to make boot grub. We need to make the boot grub directory, which should be in the. We need to do this right here. Okay. And it's not going to overwrite anything that you already have, so you don't have to really worry about that. Say grub install dash dash grub. We'll say setup equals bin true and dev sd sda. Okay, if yours is sdb, then you might want to check and do sdb, but this isn't going to do anything like overwrite anything. Okay, and I don't want it to write everything overwrite anything because I have grub already installed. So now we say grub make config dash o, say boot grub not env grub dot cfg for config. Okay, alright, so you should see something like that. Alright, now the rest of it, this here is our etsy grub.d. You guys can look at that and figure that out. Okay, but I'm going to auto generate this with my grub 2 that's already on my Linux Mint. Okay, so there's no need to really do that, and I'm really getting sick and tired of grub anyway. Grub's just getting a little weirder and weirder every time, and I don't like it. I think I'm going to switch to Lilo, but I'll do that in some time. And Lilo is not talked about in here, which is a big iffy. Like, Lilo has been with LFS forever, and I don't know why it's not here. But you can install that. Alright, so now, final touches, let's say, oh my god, sounds like I got a scramble egg machine going on in my damn headphones. Let's say echo 6.8 into etsy lfs dash releases or release. Okay, that's done. You're done. Alright, so in the next one I'm going to, in case you want to know how to update grub, I'm going to boot into mint, update grub, and then we'll do a boot and see if this thing actually works. Alright, peace out.